The government says it is looking into allegations that China offered to take pressure off probes into 1MDB in return for projects, reports Bloomberg. Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng says he is unaware of meetings between China and Malaysia, as reported by the Wall Street Journal concerning 1MDB. He says that the cost of China-backed deals was certainly enlarged, and Malaysia would check if the reason was 1MDB related. In the Wall Street Journal report, China officials said it would use its influence to get the US and other countries to drop its 1MDB investigations. The Chinese were also said to have offered to bug the homes and offices of Wall Street Journal reporters to learn who was leaking information. In return, Malaysia offered lucrative stakes in railway and pipeline projects for China's One Belt, One Road infrastructure program. It added that within months, ex-PM Dato Sri Najib Razak had signed $34 billion worth of rail, pipeline and other deals with Chinese state companies funded by Chinese banks and built by Chinese workers. Moody's says Malaysia's real GDP growth should slow to 4.7% in 2019 and 4.5% in 2020, after averaging around 5% during 2015 to 2018. The agency says Malaysia's credit profile reflects the country's large and diversified economy, with healthy medium-term growth prospects and relatively high government debt that is partly offset by a favourable debt structure and large domestic savings. The rating agency notes that external headwinds from trade protectionism will weigh on trade activity. Plus, a review of infrastructure projects and slowing public spending will prove a further drag on growth. Meanwhile, Putrajaya faces a narrowing revenue base after abolishing the GST, which in turn reduces fiscal flexibility. However, Moody's says deep domestic capital markets and high savings provide a stable funding pool and can partly offset these fiscal weaknesses. Top Glove Corp says it will take time to turn around unit Aspion, but that the results will be obvious in 1 to 2 years' time. Executive Chairman Tan Sri Lim Wee Chai says Aspion accounted for 10% of its quarterly sales and contribution for FY19 will remain relatively small. Lim says that it has sent its team of engineers, chemists and managers to improve their quality standards and efficiency, as their standards are very far behind. He adds that the group has managed to turn around inefficient factory operations in the past, adding that 14 out of its 40 factories were acquired inorganically. These factories contributed about 30% of the group's annual profit. Overall, the group spends about 400 million ringgit per year on capex. It has been almost a year to the day that Top Glove had inked a deal to buy Aspion for 1.37 billion ringgit, only to discover irregularities in Aspion's books, which meant it overpaid by 640.5 million ringgit. Malaysia Marine and Heavy Engineering has bagged a framework agreement from Petronas for the provision of engineering, procurement and construction of fixed offshore structure works. MMHE says the frame agreement consists of 2 packages, namely Package A, fixed offshore structures of weight exceeding 7,500 metric ton, and Package B, fixed offshore structures of weight not exceeding or equal to 7,500 metric ton. The agreement is valid for 6 years for both packages. It is on a mini-bidding basis, applicable to projects being managed under Petronas' petroleum agreement contractors, and covers all oil and gas blocks within Malaysia. Group MD and CEO Wan Mashita Wan Abdullah Sani says this award is a reflection of continued trust in its ability to execute projects and to deliver the desired results. After the news was announced, MHB's shares were unchanged at noon at 61.5 cents, valuing the company at 968 million ringgit. Over the past year, the counter has fallen 32.57% from 91 cents. However, MHB's share price ended the day in positive territory, 3.25% up at 63.5 cents. Malaysia and Singapore have agreed for both sides to immediately and simultaneously suspend Malaysia's permanent restricted area over Pasir Gudang and Singapore's implementation of the Instrument Landing System procedure for Seletar Airport. Both the suspensions are for a month in the first instance. In a joint statement issued after a bilateral meeting between Malaysian Foreign Affairs Minister Datuk Saifuddin Abdullah and his Singapore counterpart, Dr. Vivian Balakrishnan, they both agreed that in the meantime, the transport ministers of the two countries should meet for discussions on the restricted area and the ILS procedure to ensure the safety and efficiency of civil aviation. As for maritime issues surrounding the Johor Bahru and Singapore port limits, the two ministers agreed to establish a working group headed by the Permanent Secretary of the Singapore Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the SecGen of the Malaysian Foreign Ministry. The working group will study and discuss the legal and operational matters in order to de-escalate the situation on the ground and provide a basis for further discussions and negotiations. The working group is to report to the foreign ministers within 2 months.